Our first question comes from Lem Satterfield with theringtv.com.
Hey, Gary, how you doing?
How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. First of all, you have been very critical of the fact that this fight is taking place, even though it is for a title. Have any of your feelings changed, or do you still feel that he hasn't earned his position in this fight?
Honestly, none of my feelings have changed. I feel as though I'm a firm believer in God, and I believe that everything happens for a reason. If this is the guy that we have to use as a stepping stone to navigate our career to a different level, then so be it. We're 100% ready, we're 100% prepared, and we're ready to make everything happen.
You also said in your past that this is a fight where Top Rank is going against an Al Heyman fighter. Did you want to share any feelings about,
What?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, like I said, honestly, it's a big honor to break the cycle of the Al Heyman and Bob Burnham, Top Rank and Golden Boy thing, because I think you have these great fighters, on both sides of the fence that the fans would love to see, but don't get the possibility to perform or get an opportunity to see it because of, the ongoing situation with them. I think it's a big breakthrough for me and Lomachenko to be able to be one of the first to actually do it, and hopefully this will open the door for a lot of the other fights that the fans will want to see participate.
Carl, do you have any opinion about what he just said? I mean, he says he sees this fight as a breakthrough. Obviously, this is just one fight, and there's a lot, that has gone on in the so-called Cold War. Do you have any opinion about what Gary just said?
Well, I think that's what the media and social media likes to jump on, but, at the end of the day, I just can't see in the middle of the 6th round guys rooting for Al or Bob. It's a fight, and the fight is really, Lomachenko has to worry about Gary Russell, and Gary Russell's got to worry about Lomachenko, and anything other than that is just, Twitter talk, which people seem to love lately.
I don't think he meant that. I think what he meant was he sees this as a breakthrough of the best fighters that each stable has, and each has fighting each other. That's what I think he meant. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I think that's what he was saying.
Yeah,
exactly.
Hopefully it's the start of bigger things to come.
Okay.
Now I do have a question for Lomachenko. Andy, yeah. Is he there? I guess he is.
Yes, we're here.
Can you talk about Gary's comments about, he has said in the past that Vasyl hasn't really earned his position to be in this fight. He didn't say it today, but can you address that? I mean, obviously he took a big step in going for a title in his second fight, professional fight. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Ты можешь что-то сказать по поводу того, что прокомментировал Герри Рассел, что ты не заслужил быть в втором бою за звание чемпиона мира. Он сегодня это не говорит, но раньше в прессе он это сказал, что ты еще не заслужил место боксировать за такое место.
Сегодня, я думаю, по-одному, после 21-го числа думать по-другому. Детально и объективно я смогу сказать это после 21-го числа, станет ясно.
Today I think from one point of view, and I see from one point of view, after June 21st, everybody will see from a different point of view, and we can talk more details after the fight is going to be over.
My last question for him is, and you as well, Aegis, given that this is his third professional fight and he's in another big fight, there's a chance is he facing kind of an uphill climb, potentially being 1-2 as a professional in only his third professional fight? I mean, is there any pressure that he's feeling?
Ты чувствуешь на себя какую-то ответственность, что если случится такое, что ты будешь один выигрыш и 2 проигрыша после 3 боев? Я не чувствую никакой ответственности, не боюсь, потому что у меня в страхе есть уже положение. No, I don't feel any pressure. I don't feel anything because I already have a 1 loss. I think Gary Russell is one who needs to be thinking about that loss.
Next question comes from Dan Rafael with ESPN.
Thank you very much. Hey, Gary, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, man.
I'm good to hear that. Listen, you are 24-0, and you've obviously been winning all of your fights relatively easily since your pro debut in 2009. There had been criticism, though, that your opponents have not been, that good, frankly. And that Lomachenko, although he's only had the 2 pro fights, had faced good competition, real good competition in both of those fights. I mean, what's your thought on the criticism you've received about, not your talent, certainly, and not your victories in terms of how you've gone about this, but in terms of the lack of quality opposition that you've made so far in pro?
Man, it's going to be criticism anyway. My dad told me you can never please everyone. It's our job. We wanted to get to maybe 23-0, 22, 23-0 before we competed for a world title. And one of the reasons why is based on the fact that you can be an elite amateur. You can be an elite amateur fighter, but when you go into professional, it's a completely different world. You're not going 4 rounds. You're going 10, 12 hard rounds with guys that are, putting in that extra work. And this is the only way that you can gain experience, by getting these rounds in. And we don't want to take things like that for granted by not getting the rounds in. The criticism is good, but I think the skill level that we bring, like you say, the skill level was something that was never questioned. They question the opponents, and these are opponents that you learn on.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. You can finish what you're saying.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
I was going to ask you, you said, so you've gotten to your goal, let's say, of getting to those 23, 24 fights under your belt before you step in to fight for a world title. But do you believe that on the way to the opportunity to fight for the world title, that there should be a fight against a top-level opponent, a contender, to earn that position?
Do I believe that? I feel as though it all goes back into the comfortability of the fighter, as far as the level of experience that you get in with. I feel as though that the experience that we got in with the fighters that we competed against was picture perfect, and it'll show up on the 21st.
Okay. Aegis, thank you, Gary, for that. I appreciate it. Aegis, are you there?
Yes, of course, Dan, I'm here.
Good to talk to you. Now, when Vasyl had his first fight on the undercard of Bradley and Marquez, he fought an opponent, Jose Ramirez, who was a very experienced guy, had pulled a couple of good wins, went overseas and scored a big victory against a good contender. Is it his opinion, between fighting Ramirez and Orlando Salido, a veteran world champion, that in just 2 professional fights, his opponent level has already exceeded the opponent level that Gary had fought in his first 24 fights?
Твое мнение, когда ты боксировал первый бой, Рамирес, он хороший был, действительно хороший был для тебя соперник, он был уже ездил где-то там, что-то выиграл, и потом ты боксировал Орландо Солидо. Твое мнение, что как бы уровень твоих оппонентов можно сравнить с оппонентами, которых боксировал Герри Рассел, 24 боя?
Я не видел всех оппонентов Герри Рассела, но из того, что я видел, в принципе, во-первых, можно поставить, в принципе, уровень его оппонентов. Понятно, что такими как Солида уровня не встречал. Но как Хосе Рамирес, мне кажется, что позже ребята были.
I didn't see all the fights Gary Russell, and I didn't see all the opponents Gary Russell. But as far as I saw opponents, I can probably compare few guys were close to Jose Ramirez, or maybe even to Jose Ramirez. But I never seen any of them being as far as the Salido.
Okay. My other question then for Vasyl is, he suffered the loss against Salido in a very competitive and tough fight. Does he feel like that experience, even though he's now just the 2 fights into his professional career, that he learned a lot in that fight that will help him when it comes time to fight Gary in the title fight coming up?
Бой Солида, ты думаешь, что тебе дал много опыта? Yes, of course. Of course, I think there's a lot of experience.
Well, what kind of things did he learn in that fight against Orlando? Because those 12 rounds were, filled with a lot of things that he could probably go to school on.
One thing he learned to hit low blows. Hold on, this was a joke from me, but I'll ask about Vasyl. Hold on. Что ты думаешь, что ты больше выучил в этом бою?
Конечно, связанные приемы, связанное ведение боя, как нужно к этому относиться, как исправиться. И мне кажется, что за эти 12 раундов я получил больше опыта, чем если бы я посмотрел там 2 года.
Of course, I learned how to adjust to the professional boxing because I never been in such a lot. But I think just fighting 12 rounds with Orlando Salido, I got experience more if I would be fighting just regular level guys for 2 years.
Okay, and just one other question for everybody here. You guys were both, Gary and Vasyl, both, great amateur fighters. Did you ever come across each other in the amateurs? Did you ever spar with each other? Did you ever fight each other as amateurs?
Когда-нибудь с Герри Расселом пересекался где-то? Свою какую-то?
Нет, он боксировал русским, которому проиграл, которым русским, если там через 2 года боксировал, это
not only we had, I believe we had one opponent, both of us, we faced it in the amateurs. That was a Russian guy who Gary Russell lost it, and a couple of years later, I won that guy.
So the guy that Gary lost to in the amateurs, Vasyl beat, is what his recollection is?
Correct.
But Gary, you never sparred with him, right? You never fought him? Gary?
That might have been his line. Gary, you there? All right, Dan, stand by. We're going to try to get him back.
Okay, no problem. Thank you, Kelly.
Gary пропал.
I just figured they might have come across each other at some point, and all the great.
No, they never did. We never did across them.
Let me ask Vasyl one other question, then, Igis, while we're waiting to get Gary back here.
Yeah, so I'm back in. I'm back.
Oh, Gary, did you? I was asking before about had you and Vasyl ever encountered each other as amateurs, ever fought each other, ever sparred? He said no. He said that he beat a guy that had beaten you a couple years earlier before he fought him. Do you have any recollection of that, or did you ever fight him or spar him?
Never fought him, never sparred him.
Said you had one common opponent.
I honestly don't even know if we had a common opponent. If he said we did, then it's very possible. We both competed internationally.
Let me clarify that. He said that the opponent that he fought, or that an opponent that beat you, he then beat a couple years later.
It's possible. I'm not sure, but it's very possible. I definitely wouldn't call him a liar. I honestly didn't hear about him until, I was already professional, Lomachenko. So it's very possible that he's still competing against someone that I competed against.
Okay. It was a 2007. The guy name is Vasyl
from Russia. Okay. My last question. Thank you, Gary. My last question for Vasyl is, he had the goal coming into the pro game. He wanted to fight for the title as soon as possible. Try to make a little history by winning it in that second fight of his. Once that did not happen, was there ever a discussion on the team about let's ease up a little bit? No urgency. We didn't get the record. We didn't do it. So we're 1-1. Let's slow down a little bit. Obviously, by taking on Gary, you're not slowing down at all. What was there a discussion about doing that though? What's the urgency? I guess is the question.
У тебя была поставлена цель, чтобы во втором бою выиграть титул. Когда ты не выиграл этот титул во втором бою, были ли разговоры какие-то, что давайте сейчас чуть опустимся, давайте сейчас начнем опять набивать рекорд, посмотреть, что мы здесь есть. Но сейчас боксировать Герри Рассела, это точно не ступенька вниз, а еще ступенька вверх.
Ступенька вверх, потому что я не считаю Герри Рассела круче. Поэтому я хочу выстраивать лестницу, ступени, но мне предоставился шанс боксировать за титул, и тогда я не знал, что это будет. Без разницы, что это будет. Герри Рассел, либо еще какие-то ребята, топ-10. Мне предоставился шанс, я не воспользовался.
Well, I'm not putting kind of like a ladder. I'm stepping up or stepping down. I just had another chance to fight for the title, and this is my dream. My desire is to get one, and I have a chance, and of course I'm going to take it. Then after the Toledo fight, I didn't know who it's going to be. It's going to be Gary Russell or somebody else. I didn't care. I'm going to be fighting for the title.
Okay. Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate your time. Good luck in the fight.
Thanks, Dan.
No problem.
Our next question comes from Jake Donovan with BostonTV.com.
I just have two questions for Gary Russell. One is kind of piggybacking off what Dan asked earlier. Gary, was Vasyl ever on your radar, even whether it was in the amateurs or even once he turned pro a couple of years ago?
Like I said, in the amateurs, I've never heard of him. In the amateurs, the only time I heard of Lomachenko was once he had turned professional, and there was a possibility of me competing against him for the world title. Never ran across the amateurs at all.
Okay. And then I just wanted to ask you, all right, you made the 2008 Olympic team, you did the Olympics, and then turning pro, you came out as one of the best prospects, but then things were holding you back getting to a title. Was there ever frustration in your heart, wondering like, you have all this talent to get someone who's just holding you back from getting to the top level?
No, I never had any frustration. Like I said, my team and I, we had a game plan that we wanted to get the experience in as a professional. Like you say, you see these guys before that have been stellar amateurs, and can't make the necessary adjustment as a professional. We wanted to get the rounds in. We wanted to learn the ins and outs as a professional before we competed for a world title. We had a little minor hiccup here and there, but other than that, we stayed on course and we're right on track.
Okay, I'm sorry. I do have one more question. You caught a lot of slack for, I guess, people expecting your level of opposition to be superior than what it is. There are guys that have turned you down, though. So I want to give you the opportunity. What fights have been negotiated where guys that you wanted to get into the ring and for whatever reason it just didn't happen?
No, we wanted to fight Juan Lopez. That never happened. We wanted to fight what's the guy, Johnny Gonzalez. He didn't take the fight. He definitely tried to fight down a couple times on more than one occasion. But it is what it is. I think everything in life happens for a reason. I think it worked out perfectly for me to win my first world title against Lomachenko.
Thanks a lot, Gary. I appreciate that. Best of luck on 21st. That's again answered all my questions, so best of luck to you as well.
Our next question comes from Percy Crawford with FightHype.com.
Hey, Gary, how you doing, man? I'm doing pretty good, I want that. We've talked a lot in the past, man, and you've always said that you don't watch too much boxing, and I know he doesn't have a lot of footage to watch, being that he only has 2 fights as a professional. But have you watched those 2 fights, and if so, what did you take away from them?
Honestly, the only fight that we did watch was the Toledo fight. The first fight. No, you know what? I take it back. We did watch his first professional fight. And what I seen from it was that he still competes like an amateur. He still fights like an amateur that turned professional. He fights like an amateur that hasn't got the rounds in. I do think that he's talented. I think he's talented, but I think that he's overlooking the rounds that you have to get as a professional to get a certain experience in. You know, just to get experience as a professional.
And that's something you talked about here, is that you guys had a game plan. You told me a while back you wanted to get into your 20s before you shot for a title. Was that just to get, not only to get the season, but I know you wanted to test out your hands in the pro ranks, and not a year ago, do you feel like now that the stage is set, this is definitely the right time for this title fight?
Most definitely. This is definitely the right time for the title fight. Like I said, I can't stress it more. You know, and Lomachenko would probably understand where I'm coming from on this. You know, when you have these guys that are competing for the Olympics, what they normally do to familiarize that particular country, you know, with the other countries that are out there, they compete in duels. U.S. versus Kazakhstan, U.S. versus Cuba, U.S. versus this place, or whatever country that is. And the reason why is to gain experience, to familiarize yourself with different opposition. You know, and I feel as though for him to be an elite amateur, this is something that's going completely against what they will put you in the amateur, you know, but I guess we'll see how it works out for him.
And you said that June 21st didn't get here quick enough. Obviously, you know, you guys are ready for this fight, but both of you guys are poised fighters. What do you feel separates you guys from June 21st, being that you guys both had extensive amateur careers, you both are poised as pros, and for the most part, you both have gained somewhat. I know you've gotten more fights, but he's gained a lot of experience with his couple fights. What do you feel separates you guys on June 21st?
Oh man, I think my hand speed would definitely be a big factor. You know, I understand you could probably bring guys in, you know, you can probably bring guys in to somewhat mimic my style. But if they have the hand speed, they don't have the punching ability. If they have my punching ability, they don't have my hand speed. It's no way possible for them to duplicate what it is that I'm going to bring to the table on June 21st.
Well, man, best of luck to you, Gary, and I look forward to the fight, man.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, and I have one from Vasyl as well. I want to ask him, does he feel like he gets unfair criticism? Because in one sense, you have the media saying Gary Russell is moving way too slow, and then in another sense, you have the media saying Vasyl Lomachenko is moved way too fast, or he didn't warrant or earn his shot. So does he feel the criticism that him fighting for a couple of titles and only 3 fights is kind of unfair and unwarranted, being that it's kind of a double standard?
That for you, Lomachenko.
Спрашивает, что одна сторона говорит медиа, что Герри Рассел двигается очень медленно. Другая сторона говорит, что Василий Ломаченко идет очень быстро. То есть где вот этот промежуток, как ты это видишь? Как ты думаешь, что медиа не очень сильно, потому что все говорят, что ты очень идешь быстро?
По боям, что ли?
Ну, мне боксировать за титул, за пояс.
Да. Дальше. Этот шанс он дает, может быть, да, а может и не получиться этого шанса. Вот он может тренироваться, там около 5 лет, всю свою жизнь, боксировать, иметь талант, иметь все. Ну, не просто он судьбу этот шанс. Мне дали шанс, и я воспользовался им. Я хотел этого, мне дали. Я уверен в своих силах. Я знаю, что я смогу это сделать. Я постараюсь.
Well, not everybody has a chance to go so fast. And what I think I got the chance. I worked hard for it, and I think I earned it. And not again, somebody can fight 5 years and not have a single chance to get to fight for the title. I got, and I'm gonna do it. I'm confident I can do it, and I will try to do it.
All right, well, I appreciate it, man. The rest of my questions were asked. So thanks, good luck on the 21st.